Hello my beauties, welcome back to my channel. This is me here again with another video. In today's video we are filming with a lot of energy. Okay, I just filmed a tutorial on this beautiful headband that I have on here on my hair, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. Okay, you guys love the headband tutorial that I always bring on here, so I'm not going to be starving you guys, right? I'm going to be giving you that back to back, as well as this sewing tutorial that I also bring to you guys now, right? We've added it to the list of all the other videos that we put on here on this channel. So yeah, in today's video we're going to be talking all about sewing terminologies. So terminologies that you need to familiarize yourself with as a sewing beginner. So if you're interested in knowing all the sewing terminologies that I have to share with you guys in today's video, please be sure to continue to watch. Alright guys, so for those who are new on here and for some reason they are wondering why is she smiling, why is she so happy, my name is Fumibi and I bring, positive vibes on here on my channel. I share sewing tutorials on here. I share DIY videos on how to make different types of pieces. Okay, I don't share just how to make headbands. I show you how to make different beautiful pieces for yourself in the comfort of your home, and I also share occasional vlogs on here, even though I feel like we are lacking in those because you guys seem to not want to see vlogs. You guys just want back-to-back tutorials. So those are the things that I typically do on here on my channel. So if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you know you're the best. Okay, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. So like I said earlier, we're going to be talking all about sewing terminology. So without beating around the bush or beating about, I don't know, without beating around for too long, let's get straight into the reason why you clicked on this video. So the first sewing term that we're going to be talking all about is sewing allowance. Sewing allowance, I say that a lot in my videos, right? I always tell you, oh, your sewing allowance is half an inch, your sewing allowance is 1 inch, your sewing allowance is this and that. So the main, what sewing allowance typically means is what extra measurements are you adding to the typical measurements of whatever point you are marking on your fabric. What extra measurements are you adding to it to serve as backup? Basically, sewing allowance is sewing backup in my own dictionary. Okay, someone else might come here and say, oh, how can you say sewing backup? But that's how I choose to call it for someone that is just new and doesn't even have an idea what sewing allowance means. Sewing allowance basically means sewing backup. What space, what backup amount of space are you adding to whatever dimension you already marked to just add to your fabric, just in case you try on your outfit and you see that, oh, this outfit is a bit too tight here. Your sewing allowance is just supposed to serve as backup for you to free up that particular point on your body that might be feeling too tight for you, or it's just sewing backup basically. So when someone says sewing allowance, is what extra dimension are you adding to your actual measurement to serve as backup for your sewing project. The next sewing terminology I'm going to be talking about is cutting on fold. You hear it a lot in most of the tutorials that you watch on here on YouTube, or even if you attend a fashion school, your teacher is probably saying, oh, you are cutting this point on fold. So cutting on fold means you are folding your fabric into two before cutting. So if I say you are cutting 20 inches on fold, ideally you are cutting 40 inches. So because your fabric is on fold, you're going to have double of whatever dimension the person asked you to cut on fold. So for example, I say cut 5 inches on fold. Technically you are cutting 10 inches because by the time you open up that fold, 5 inches plus 5 inches is going to give you 10 inches. So cutting on fold means you are cutting whatever dimension you are being told to cut while your fabric or while your paper or whatever piece of item you are sewing is on fold. So that's what cutting on fold basically means. The next sewing term that we are going to be talking all about is squaring out. So when I say, oh, mark 5 inches on so and so and square it out, what that means is just draw a straight line that just helps you maintain that dimension on your paper, on your fabric, on whatever it is there. So squaring out just means drawing a straight line, a parallel line, I think, right? Or vertical line, depending on what direction you're sewing on your fabric or your paper. So that's that about squaring out. Another sewing term is guideline. Oh, draw a guideline at the edge of your dress, draw a guideline at the top of your dress, draw a guideline at the top of your paper, at the bottom of your paper. Your guideline is basically your starting point in marking your dimensions. Say on the paper, on the fabric, your guideline is where you start marking either your vertical measurements or your horizontal measurements. So that guideline is where you typically start from. So when someone says, when you hear, oh, mark your guideline, draw your guideline of 2 inches from the top, it just means measure 2 inches from the edge of whatever it is that you're marking on, and then draw a straight line and start to mark your measurements downwards. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Anyway, the next sewing term that we're going to be talking all about is, oh, I want a pencil dress. Oh, I want a flare dress. Oh, I want to draw a circle, pencil, flare, and circle. So that's the next sewing term that we're going to be talking about. They work, yeah, I made them 3 in 1, right? So pencil basically means you want whatever you're sewing to kind of be, you know the way the tip of your pencil is, right? You want it to be chiseled and just, you know, firm on your body or on the body of, you know, the person you're making an outfit for. If you want to sew a flare as well, you want the item to be flared. So let me cite the example of what I'm wearing right now. This dress is a flared dress because it just flows on my body. If you want to draw a circle, so circles, it depends on what you're trying to do. So if you're familiar with making, you know, peplum outfits, so peplums are usually achieved with drawing circles. You can also achieve a circle dress with circles. So when someone says, oh, you're drawing a circle, we're going to get to that as we go along in this, you know, sewing series that I'm doing on here for you guys, depending on the reception that I get from these videos, right? So circle, flare, and pencil. What you want to have in your head is when someone says, I'm making a pencil dress, you're making a fitted dress that is chiseled at the bottom for yourself or for your clients. If you're making a flared dress, you want something free that is flared. I don't know, is it flared? Something that is shaft free. Circle is you're trying to achieve a circle. So say you're sewing a bonnet, you are sewing a peplum top, a peplum whatever. That's where, you know, most times circles come into play. You use circles for other things, right? I'm not saying those are the only things you use circles for, but yeah, depending on what it is they are doing will now determine how you now cut and all of that. And typically if you're trying to cut a circle, you're folding your fabric on buyer's grain a lot of times, but other times if you're sewing, you know, a circle, you don't need to cut your fabric on buyer's grain. But we're not talking all about that yet, okay? I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's that about circles, flares, and pencil outfits. The next sewing term that I'm going to be talking about is the hem of your garment, and I feel like that is pretty self-explanatory. Hem of your garment just means the end of your garment, or hem of your top means the end of your top. So wherever, whatever outfit you're making stops, wherever it ends, that's where we call the hem. So if you're working on the hem of this dress, the hem of this dress is this edge of my dress, right at the end here. That's the hem. If I'm wearing a top as well, wherever the hem is where my top stops. So when they say, oh, add 5 inches to the hem of your garment, or add 5 inches to the hem of your top, you know that you're adding 5 inches to the end wherever the dress is supposed to typically stop. You're adding 5 extra inches to that point. These are just examples that I'm citing to just help you understand everything that I'm saying. The next point that we are talking about is armhole. And I feel like in the last video that I made on how to make a shift dress, I kept talking about your armhole and all of that, and I just watched it and I felt like some of you guys might not understand what I mean by armhole. So armhole is basically when you wear your dress, where does your arm pass through? That's how I can explain it, okay? When your arm passes through that dress, so typically the armhole line for this dress I'm wearing, it starts from here, right? Wherever this armpit area is. I know this is TMI for some people, but yeah, this is where my armhole is. So when drawing your armhole, you are drawing the dimension on your fabric for your arm to pass through and for it to sit on your body. So your armhole curve is supposed to mimic the curve of your arm, right? When you stretch your hand like this, how your hand basically curves when it is going towards the armpit area, that's what your armhole curve is supposed to do for you. I don't know if my hand is tampering with my mic, but yeah, I hope you guys can still kind of hear me. So that's basically what I mean by drawing your armhole. So your armhole on your fabric is basically, when marking it, you're basically trying to figure out the distance from the nape of your neck right here to this point on your body that aligns with your armhole area. So that's where I always tell you that when you mark your bust point, you come up by 2 inches to get your armhole point on your fabric. But yeah, that's that about armhole. I hope, like, I'm so paranoid about this video. I hope you guys really understand everything that I'm sharing with you all in this video. If you are enjoying or you are learning something from this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. A lot of you guys watch my videos without, you know, smashing the like button, okay? So please let me know that you guys found value from this video by hitting the like button. All right, guys, so the next sewing term that we're going to be talking about is your bust point. So when people say, oh, at the bust point, mark 2 inches, at the bust point, do this and that, the bust point is basically just talking about the fullest part of your bust on your body, okay? I know it's probably TMI, but that's just how to explain it, right? So from the nape of your neck to the fullest point on your bust, that's where your bust point is. So typically your bust point is supposed to be like somewhere here, right? So when someone is saying, was the person's, or was the dress you're making, was the shoulder to bust. So the shoulder to bust is basically the distance from the nape of your neck to the fullest part of your, your bust area. So yeah, that's that about butt point, and it varies for individuals because of course we have different body measurements, right? So typically when taking a measurement for your shoulder to your bust, you're measuring from this point of your neck, like this part, up until the fullest part of your bust. The next sewing term we're going to be talking about is pleats and gathers. So we have what we call pleats, and we also have gathers. So gathers is you want to just, basically, like, let me cite the example of what I'm wearing right now. So this part of my top right here, I'm going to see if I can zoom in for you guys, is basically, we pleated it, right? They are overlapping each other on different dimensions. I don't know, maybe say, what I'm saying here is like half of an inch. So they just pleated these points in my dress. Well, at this bottom here, somewhere here, what we have here are gathers, so slight gathers. So gathers, when you are gathering your dress, is like you are literally gathering, like you are pulling on it for it to just squeeze up together, while pleating, you are overlapping the fabric on each other to give you a particular outlook that you might be going for. Say pleated skirt, you want your skirt to form like straight flat points overlapping each other. Gathered skirt, you want it to just be scrunched up in a particular area. So pleats and gathers are two different things. So those are terminologies that you might be hearing when sewing, and this is just supposed to help you know the difference between a pleat and gathers on fabric. The next sewing term we're going to be talking about is neckline. So neckline basically is talking of how will your dress look in the neck area. I hope that makes sense to you guys. So how would your dress look when it sits on your neck? So for this, my dress now, it doesn't have a neckline because it has straps, right? But for other outfits that I wear, right, the neckline might be round neck, it might be a square shaped neck, it might be, it varies really. So the neckline of your dress varies depending on the style that you're going for with whatever outfits that you're making. I'm going to see if I'm going to be able to link a picture of different types of neckline on here on the screen, so you guys get to understand what I'm saying. So when someone is saying cut out the neckline of a particular dimension, depending on what type of neckline you are going for, if it's a round neck or a squared neck or a V neck or a sweetheart neck, it will now determine how you are going to cut that neckline, and we're going to get to that as we go along in this sewing series on here on my channel. So but yeah, I hope you guys understand what I mean by neckline. Next time you hear me say neckline in a particular video, you already know what I'm talking about in that particular video. All right guys, so the last sewing term that we're going to be talking about in today's video is what we call fabric grains. So fabric grains, so with fabrics, different fabrics come with different grains, and I'm going to be showing you all how a typical fabric comes and how you know what grain you are working with. So we have what we call cross grain, straight grain, and bias grain. So to get the bias grain of your fabric, what you would typically do is fold your fabric in a 45-degree angle to get the bias grain. And the reason why people cut on bias grain, it depends on what you're trying to sew, right? Most times if you want to cut in such a way that you would get extra stretch from your fabric, you cut on your bias grain. If you're trying to cut your bias, right, make your own bias at home, what you would typically do as well is you will cut on your bias grain. It varies really. I can't really come here and tell you that, oh, this is all we use the bias grain of a fabric for, but yeah, those two things are the two major reasons why you would typically cut your fabric on bias grain. So to get extra stretch from a particular type of outfit you are making, and if you need the fabric to just stretch a little, you cut it on the bias grain. If you need to cut your bias as well for finishing the neckline, finishing the armhole, or finishing whatever on your fabric, you cut your fabric on your bias grain. You cut on the cross grain. It all depends really, but yeah, I'm going to show you how you fold your fabric if you're trying to cut on a cross grain, on a straight grain, and on a bias grain. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you were able to learn something from all the sewing terms that I came on here with, and I hope you understood everything that I mentioned. If you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. If you have other questions about everything I just said, or something else that has to do with sewing, or whatever, maybe content on my channel that you have questions about, please be sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section, and be sure that I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can. If you're watching this video still, if you've made it up to this point and you're yet to be subscribed to my channel, please do well to hit the subscribe button and join me on here. It's fun, okay, on this channel, so please be sure to join us on here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in my next one. Love and appreciate every single one of you. Bye. Mwah.